Thanks for joining us. I'm Nari McDiarmid for Mining Journal, and I'm speaking with Dr. Jason Berton, the Managing Director of PolarX, which is advancing its copper project in Alaska and gold-silver project in Nevada. And Jason, firstly, your share price got a boost recently when gold major Northern Star took a 10% stake in the company. What does this mean for PolarX?
Well, thanks, Nari. I think it's a validation pick from Northern Star with respect to the quality of our exploration projects across the board. Obviously, Northern Star is already focused on Alaska with their ownership of the Pogo gold mine, and we have our Alaska Range projects nearby. But I think there's a broader interest in the US with our Nevada assets as well in the Humboldt Range. So for us, the US makes sense from a geological prospectivity point of view, but there's also a reliable mining district jurisdiction element to why we're in Alaska and Nevada. Both of those states rank highly in terms of favorable mining jurisdictions globally, and I think that was appealing to Northern Star. And the next steps in our exploration activities will be to focus further on our work in Nevada, as we think there's an exciting region for future mine development emerging in the Humboldt Range.
Well, if we take a look at your Humboldt Range project in Nevada and the big picture of where it's located, how would you describe the region?
Right, so the background to my exploration plans really do relate to the big picture story that's emerging in the district. So if you look at the regional map that we've put out, there's mines nearby. We've got Florida Canyon and Rochester mines, but there's also the development of the Spring Valley project. Not a lot of people know much about Spring Valley. Now, each of these deposits that I've mentioned are multi-million ounce gold and silver deposits. Each are bulk tonnage and at modest grades, ranging from 0.4 to 0.6 grams per ton. Now, the Spring Valley and the Rochester mines are host within the Rochester Rhyolite Formation. Now, the only other projects in this region with mineralization host in the Rochester Rhyolite are owned by PolarX, and that's within both the Black Canyon and 4th of July projects. Now, Spring Valley and Rochester require large tonnage bulk mineable resources. They also have high-grade veins like us, but that doesn't drive their economic value. The key driver to creating real economic value in this region and at Black Canyon and 4th of July is better bulk tonnage grades than what we recently drilled at Star Canyon, more like what we found at Golden Staircase last year, where we trench cut about 69 meters at an average grade of 1.1 grams per ton of gold. So we've got that under our belt. We need to focus on finding more of that.
Well, you've mentioned the two different styles of mineralisation, Jason, and you've just returned from a trip to the project in Nevada, and you've recently reported the thick low-grade mineralisation and obviously recently the bonanza grades last year. So can you outline what are the next steps there in your exploration plans?
Yeah, so we drilled up until Christmas last December, following capital raising we did where Northern Star came on board to take 10% shareholding in PolarX. Now, that program has contributed greatly to our geological understanding of mineralization at Black Canyon and the Humboldt Range overall. Previously, we had only 200-meter wide drill hole spaces. Now we've got far closer drill spaces. We're understanding far more what's going on in detail. Now, the mineralization is hosted within the Rochester Rhyolite Formation, as I mentioned previously. There are high-grade veins amongst wide, modest-grade intercepts, and post-mineralization, we have encountered some fault offsets that are not exposed at surface. That's not uncommon in mineral deposits. you get a lot of structures associated with mineral deposits. The key takeaway from the last round of drilling in December is the lithology of the host rock, being the Rochester Rhyolite Formation, and its clear association with deposits like Spring Valley and Rochester Mine. There's a sulfide association with mineralization, and hence a sulfide association with grade. And there's also opportunity to intersect the offset high-grade veins that we were trying to find in the last program. So if you look at our Black Canyon project, we have an extraordinarily large soil anomaly. It's about 3 Ks by 2 Ks. So that's too large to identify the best target to find more intercepts like what we had at the Golden Staircase without using induced polarization. Now, the reason why IP, induced polarization, is the preferred method to deploy next is because from our drilling, we know now that gold and silver mineralization is closely associated with the sulfide concentration. And the oxide zone, which is due to weathering, is actually quite shallow. This means IP, which detects the chargeability responses in the rocks due to their electrical properties, is the correct method to deploy to identify greater sulfide concentrations and hence likely higher grades. Now, it's important to mention this doesn't mean that PolarX is not also pursuing high-grade veins like the Bonanza veins. We are. The gold in the veins is also closely associated with sulfide minerals. And therefore, the high-grade veins should also be easier to target with the use of IP. So it's not just better bulk tonnage grades, but the IP should also help us generate better drill hole locations to test possible displacement offsets of any veins that have been faulted post-mineralization. The next step for PolarX is to roll out IP surveys across selected traverses at Black Canyon and 4th of July, with the expectation to commence drilling targets generated from that as soon as possible afterwards. I'm in planning discussions with the IP contractors right now, and we'll deploy the ground crews as soon as conditions permit. Now, the 4th of July is probably the first place to start because the lower elevation means that we won't have as much issue with snow cover, and the crew should be able to get on the ground in the next couple of weeks, and we'll roll out that program.
Well, lots to watch out for there, Jason, and thank you very much for the update today.
Thank you very much for your time, Noreen.